Howdy y'all, last time we took a look at Super Mario Bros., a great game that's still fun to play to this very day. However, on the very cartridge that encases this classic title, there exists another entity that clings on like a sort of really fun growth. Okay, there's no real need to bury the lead on this one. If you know anything, like literally anything, about NES games, then you're familiar with the double card of Super Mario and Duck Hunt, a release that's so popular because it was bundled in with most Nintendo Entertainment Systems. I'm 100% certain that the only people that buy this cart today are people that are new to NES collecting. There are a surplus of these carts out there, with most places selling it for a please take it price. Man, this just has to be one of the best pack-in games of all time. Super Mario Bros., a title that perfectly tossed aside all previous notions of what home console games could be, and properly introduced players to the world of Nintendo. Oh yeah, Duck Hunt is on there too. Okay, while this title certainly has its place in gaming history, to say it's overshadowed by the other game on the cart would be a bit of an understatement. And really, how could it not be? Super Mario Bros. Was an era-defining game that had a slew of era-defining sequels following it, while Duck Hunt was Duck Hunt. It was only ever one game, but even then, with it only having one title under its belt, it still pops up from time to time in pop culture. In a sea of other good and great NES titles that have been swept away by the sands of time, this game has managed to remain relevant after so many years. And I say it's time to see what makes this title so special. So, let's do the unthinkable and select past Super Mario Bros. And boot up this all-time classic. This game sucks, the controller isn't working. Okay, anyone that knows anything about Duck Hunt knows that it's time to reach into your drawer of miscellaneous controllers and pull out a gun! Okay, sadly, it's not a real gun you need, it's a toy gun. The Nintendo Zapper, the light gun that was compatible with quite a few NES titles, though I'm willing to bet the majority of people only ever used it for Duck Hunt. And you use it just like how you use a real gun. First, you load it up and make sure the safety is off and then fire. I need to stop doing that, I'm running out of TVs. Man, this feels like some black magic. Okay, I'm sure most already know, but essentially what's happening here is that every time you pull the trigger, the screen flashes black and the ducks are replaced with white squares. And there's a little sensor inside of the zapper itself that's able to tell if you're pointed at the white squares. And that tells the game if you hit the bird or miss the bird. All of this happens in a percent of a nanosecond. You really can't tell what's happening when you're playing the game. And what's even more impressive is that this tech wasn't anywhere close to being new when this was released. Light guns go all the way back to the mid-30s. This stuff is almost 90 years old. How? Unfortunately though, there is one drawback to this tech. See, I've been lying to you this entire time. Light guns, the Nintendo Zapper included, do not work on modern HD televisions, so even though I have this beautiful 4K TV, I'm gonna have to play it on this old thing. Which I'm okay with, because I prefer to play my retro games on CRTs anyway, so it's a win-win. Okay, time to hook up my clone console so that the AV cables go to my TV and the HDMI goes to my laptop and start shooting down some 8-bit ducks. Man, for this being such old technology, it's surprisingly accurate. You look down the sights just like a normal pistol, and if your aim is on, the bird dies. I'm kinda amazed at how well this works. All of my shots hit their mark. Every time I missed, it felt like my own mistake, not the game's. It's funny to think how finicky some Wii games could be, and here the Zapper is, 20 years earlier, working flawlessly. It's also funny to think that we're now just as far removed from the Wii as the Wii was from the NES. When did these lines show up on my face? And not only does the Zapper work well, but it feels good to use also. It's so satisfying to pull the trigger. It has just the right amount of spring and give to it. Even if you don't have an NES, I highly recommend that you buy a Zapper for yourself, just so that you can use it as a fidget toy out and about. So it feels good and controls good too. We're getting off to a nice start, but how's the game itself? What you see is what you get. There's really nothing to say about Duck Hunt that isn't immediately self-explanatory. Though I'm gonna try to anyway to make a hopefully entertaining video. Your trusted dog sniffs out some ducks in the bushes, and as he lines them up, you knock them down. It's about as simple as a video game can get, and it is so much fun. You fall into a rhythm while playing the game. Aim, shoot, rest. Aim, shoot, rest. Aim, shoot, miss, game over. It's repetitive, yeah, but it's very addicting. It's because of this that I find it very fitting for it to be the other game on the pack-in double cart. With Mario, you have a sprawling side-scroller that showed what the NES was capable of. And with Duck Hunt, you have a much more laid-back game that fits right alongside with what people were used to in the arcades. To explain some of the mechanics of the game, you have 3 shots to every bird, meaning that you have 3 chances to hit the duck before it flies away. On each round, you have a minimum amount of ducks that you gotta shoot down to continue. Now, it starts out pretty easy, allowing you to miss 4 in some of the earlier stages, but your margin for error narrows as the game progresses. And starting at round 20, the game expects perfection out of you, making it to where you have to hit every duck to reach the next round. I got a game over at stage 21. And it should go without saying, but the birds get faster and faster as the game goes on as well. It's kind of funny when you play far into the game and then start from the top after getting a game over. Everything feels like it's moving in slow motion after dealing with the cocaine addicts in some of the later rounds. And that's it. There's really nothing else to say about Duck Hunt. To its benefit, don't get me wrong. This game takes a simple premise and executes it flawlessly. If there is one minor complaint I have, is that I wish the background would change as the levels progressed. Having the same tree and the same shrub next to the same blades of grass round after round after round is visually dull. I think if it changed up the background every 5 levels or so, it would have helped in making the game feel more alive, if that makes sense. Granted though, that is admittedly a nitpick. This is the era of 80% of all games having nothing but a black wall behind the player at all times. So I suppose I should be thankful for the scenery we got here. The game does have another mode where the dog sends out 2 birds at you instead of just 1. I think I actually prefer this mode to the other. It's more chaotic and fun. The game goes on much quicker this way, although I didn't get as far into it. Only got to round 15 before the dog cut me off. Okay, I know a lot of people make jokes about wanting to shoot the dog when he laughs at you, but I never wanted to do that to him. I mean, good lord, he's your dog. He's helping you by chasing out all of the ducks in the first place. He smiles with joy every time you shoot one down. Is he not allowed to snicker at you whenever you miss? He's your loyal friend. Tell me you don't have at least one friend that laughs at you whenever you mess up on something. What kind of sick freaks are you trying to shoot down a dog just because he's playfully laughing? You monsters. But then again, maybe I'm just saying that because I'm such a crack shot he hardly ever pokes out to laugh at me. Not my fault y'all can't hit the broadside of a barn. And aside from that, the game also has an often forgotten third mode that is rightfully often forgotten. Clay shooting. Yeah, this is not even half as fun. The targets are much smaller to begin with, and they are quickly moving away from the screen, shrinking until they're out of sight. They're much harder to shoot down and not nearly as satisfying to hit either. I mean, think about it. In real life, you shoot down clay pigeons to practice for the real thing. Why would you play this mode when you have the real thing right here? And another thing, it's hard to get a grasp on when the next set of clay pigeons are about to fire. Let me explain. In the main mode, you shoot the duck, wait for it to fall to the ground, the dog pops up for a second, and then the next duck flies into the air. With all of that, you're able to know exactly when the next bird is about to take off. Here though, when you shoot the clay pigeons, it is pure radio silence from the game until the next set fly off. It makes it harder for the player to know when they need to start aiming, which just makes it not as fun to play. Yeah, in case you couldn't tell, I really don't care for this mode. All it does is just zap all the fun and character out of the main game. It feels so tacked on as well. Aside from the fact that it's played with a light gun, it has nothing to do with the other 2 modes. It's almost like Nintendo had the ROM for this lying around, knowing that it was too basic to be its own video game, so they just decided to toss it onto Duck Hunt so that it wouldn't go to waste. It's fine enough to take a glance at, but it has nothing else to offer beyond that. But I'm not gonna let the mediocrity of the third mode spoil my enjoyment of the rest of the game. And the rest of the game is really solid stuff. Its simple, addictive gameplay is its strong suit. This is an NES classic that has rightfully stood the test of time. Not my favorite game on the system by a long shot, but it's one I can't help but boot up every now and again to have a good time. Which is why I couldn't be happier that a Duck Hunt movie is going to be released later this summer. So to play us out, I'll be playing a snippet of the film's trailer. Hope you enjoy. Thank y'all for watching all the way to the end, and until next time, goodbye y'all.